Despite age and gender, Malala Yousafzai has provided the world a contemporary model of leadership in its purest form. She continues to prove to the world her determination and commitment to a cause she almost died defending.
I had two options. One was to remain silent and wait to be killed. And the second was to speak up and then be killed. I chose the second one.
Her endless advocacy toward education for girls is shown through her depth in storytelling and leading by example. This is affirmed by the countless interviews, blogs, and speeches that she has given in the name of education for women. Her leadership was furthered when she was attacked by the Taliban in 2012, giving her international recognition. This traumatic event, which would have deterred most people from their cause, became a driving force behind her leadership, as it gave her the influence she needed to make a real difference in the lives of girls. Malala Yousafzai was born on July 12, 1997, in the town Mingora of the Swat Valley in Pakistan. The Swat Valley is often called the Switzerland of the East because of the beautiful scenery and clean air that the valley offers. Malala was born into a poor family as her father had all of his money invested in founding a school. Malala was one of 3 children. She had 2 brothers, Kushal and Atal. She was especially close to her father, Ziauddin Yousafzai, growing up, and he was the one that instilled the importance of education upon her. He owned several schools in Swat, and he was an educational rights activist for all children in Pakistan. He encouraged Malala and other girls in Mangora to be educated and promoted Malala's educational activism. He raised his daughter in a way that was unusual for his culture, because he listened to her ideas and implemented changes she suggested for his schools, whereas most people would not even educate their daughters, let alone listen to their advice. I don't know where it's come from, but I'm very much against discrimination based on gender or color. These values led Malala to become outspoken for women's education rights. Malala began writing a blog for BBC Urdu anonymously under the name Gal Makai to show what life was like under the Taliban for schoolgirls in the beginning of 2009. On January 14th, the Taliban closed all girls' schools in Swat, including Malala's. That day, a TV crew followed her around from the New York Times website to further expose her life under the Taliban.
In January in Swat, Pakistan, the Taliban demand all schools for girls close their doors.
Okay, wish you all the best.
The owner of the Khoshal private school, Ziauddin Yousafzai, loses his business of 14 years.
Malala, come on.
His 11-year-old daughter, Malala, loses her dream.
I want to get my education and I want to become a doctor.
It's okay. While Malala studies at home, the Taliban strengthen its grip on her city through public humiliation and violence.
Through these 2 outlets, Malala learned the influence that her words could have on people, not just in Pakistan, but throughout the world. She became a well-known figure during this time for the advocacy of education for girls because she shared her story. She told her stories in such a way that made her relatable to everyone, especially young girls all over the world. All she wanted was access to education and to be able to learn alongside her friends, which is something that all school children, along with teachers, parents, and governments across the world can relate to. The most significant event, which changed Malala's life forever, took place on the 9th of October, 2012, when the Taliban attacked her.
A group of armed Taliban boarded her school bus, asked for her by name, and shot her in the head. 2 of her classmates were also wounded in the attack. But Malala's injuries were so severe, doctors didn't think she'd survive. She was airlifted to a military hospital in Peshawar, where she had surgery to remove the bullet lodged in her shoulder. From the UAE to Germany to the US, doctors from around the world offered to treat the young girl. But ultimately Malala flew to the UK, where she continued treatment at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham.
They attempted to stop the young Malala with a bullet to the head in response to her blog and other activism promoting her efforts in spreading the importance of education for girls. They attacked her because they believed her work was an obscenity and saw it as a threat to their power. Since the failed assassination attempt back in Pakistan's Swat Valley, Malala has grown into a symbol as the champion of girls' education against the Taliban. As a result of her newfound attention, Malala has turned her celebrity into a platform to speak on other matters concerning U.S.-Pakistani relations and other international relations concerning women's rights, education, and the Taliban. After Malala was shot in the head by members of the Taliban, she did not fear. She continued to finish what she set out to do, demonstrating an enormous amount of courage, but also resilience. Malala did not falter, but instead used what to most seems like an omen to quit as an opportunity to garner support and recognition. The attack did not discourage her efforts, rather it strengthened her resolve and solidified the importance of her cause, because she would not have been targeted if she was not having an impact. Despite the violence that was displayed against Malala by the Taliban, she has never promoted violence against them. She believes that using education to fight the Taliban will have more of an impact than any violent methods, because once people are educated, they will have the ability to combat the Taliban through peaceful measures. The Taliban still has a target on both Malala and her father's heads, which, rather than hindering her advocacy, has pushed her cause even further. She has the support of a group of 50 Islamic clerics in Pakistan, who have issued a fatwa against the men who tried to kill her. This has given her more hope, because it shows that she has the support of the Muslim community on what they believe is right. With every day being as uncertain as the next, Malala realized that the fear should not be given the slightest chance to worm its way into one's thoughts. This is exemplified when she consoled a Pakistani girl on the phone whose father was almost killed by the Taliban, saying, "I understand what happened was tragic, but you need to stay strong. You cannot give up." Since the inception of her blog, Baker et al. Reports that Malala's main goal is securing Pakistani girls access to education. As a young, fresh new symbol for hope, Malala now faces addressing issues concerning fighting radical groups, women's rights, and third world children's health and safety. Malala has become a light in the darkness, and as the world, both champions and adversaries, lay in waiting for her next move, she is to demonstrate how she can effectively solve these issues. Malala's leadership style can be applied to several different leadership theories. She uses Gardner's storytelling techniques as the premise of her leadership. She has used this technique by sharing what life was like under the rule of the Taliban for BBC Urdu, as well as traveling the world after being shot and using her experiences to promote education for women and children everywhere. Gardner believes that all stories can fall into three main categories: stories about the self, stories about the group, and stories about values and meanings. Malala's storytelling can fit into all three of these categories. She establishes who she is in stories, especially through her book, I Am Malala, where she shares her life story. However, she also identifies with different groups. She is Pakistani, Pashtun, a girl, a student, a teenager, and many other things, which can make her relatable all over the world. She also shares her values such as education for all, peace throughout the world, and forgiveness. All of these elements enable her to tell a story that many people can relate to, because she understands that it is important to connect with her followers in as many ways as she possibly can. She has not limited herself to fighting for rights in Pakistan only, but has gone all over the world meeting various world leaders to spread her message as far as she can. She has been successful in this endeavor, which is evidenced by her winning the Nobel Peace Prize at just 17, along with Kailash Satyarthi, an Indian child's rights campaigner. Aspects of Lao Tzu's leadership theory can be seen in the way Malala conducts herself in her advocacy for girls' education. One of Lao Tzu's tenets of selfishness is that the leader grows more and lasts longer by placing the well-being of all above the well-being of self alone. While the world rejoiced in her speedy and miraculous recovery from the shooting, Malala, while extremely gracious, stated that it is her ultimate goal and duty to tell the stories of millions of girls who don't have access to education and are fighting for their right to an equal education. In her Nobel Peace Prize speech, Malala declared,
Though I appear as one girl, one person who is 5 foot 2 inches tall, if you include my high heels. It means I'm 5 foot only. I am not a lone voice. I'm not a lone voice. I am many. I am Malala, but I'm also Shazia. I'm Kainat. I'm Kainat Somro. I am Mozoon. I am Amina. I am those 66 million girls who are deprived of education. And today, I'm not raising my voice. It is the voice of those 66 million girls.
Malala demonstrates this concept of selfishness and leadership as she makes it known to everyone that she is not alone in this fight and that her struggle for advocacy on girls' education is nothing new by sharing the stories of her fellow sisters. Although she mentions her story is nothing unique, as it is the story of many girls, she realizes that her situation is something unique and that she has been given the greatest opportunity to bring their stories to light so the world can understand just how important this world issue is. Malala does not just preach these ideas, nor does she ask her followers to do anything that she wouldn't otherwise do or say herself. Even before the shooting, she exemplified the concept of leading by example. Her anonymous writings as a young girl before being shot show that she was not hoping to gain recognition for herself. She merely wanted to bring attention to a global issue that she herself lived daily. She now asks others to do the same, spreading awareness to this issue by doing something about it, whether that be speaking, writing, or other active involvements. Malala's leadership can be applied to both Burns' transforming leadership and Bass's transformational leadership. Burns' theory deals more so with social movements, which is exactly what Malala's efforts can be labeled as. He states that transforming leadership is a relationship of mutual stimulation and elevation that converts followers into leaders, and may convert leaders into moral agents. Through her countless articles, journals, speeches, and interviews, Malala is doing just that. She encourages people to open up their eyes and to join her making a stance against the deprivation of girls' rights to an equal education. In her speech to the United Nations, she states the world must wage a global struggle against all of the educational injustices in these third world countries. On the other hand, Bass's theory focuses on the one-way influence of leaders on followers, which is also another aspect of her leadership. Like Bass's theory, Malala presents these issues in a way to spark her followers' minds and trying to help them realize the value of her cause. Malala Yousafzai is a groundbreaking example of leadership in today's world. Her unrelenting courage in the midst of adversity is remarkable, and even more so, a phenomenon unusual for a person of her age, sex, and disposition. Malala is a guiding light to mankind, modeling that with a purity of motives and an unwavering passion for justice and peace, leadership truly can be achieved.